The polished granite halls of the Helios Academy for the Celestially Gifted hummed with a quiet, superior energy. Here, the children of diplomats, star admirals, and corporate titans learned to shape the future. Their uniforms were impeccable, their conversations a blend of galactic standard and advanced calculus. They moved with an innate assurance, a birthright written in their genes and polished by their surroundings. Among them, a boy named Leo was a silent, discordant note. He did not wear the silver-trimmed uniform, but simple, durable coveralls. He was the janitor's son, a fact known to all and whispered often. His father maintained the school's gleaming surfaces, its climate systems, its spotless floors. Leo helped after hours, emptying wastebaskets, wiping down consoles. The students looked through him as if he were a piece of useful, mobile furniture. Their words, when they did acknowledge him, were never outright cruel, but coldly dismissive. "You are in the way," a tall boy might say, not looking at him. "This area is for students," a girl would remark to her companion. As if stating a natural law, the underlying message was a constant. Low-frequency pulse. You do not belong at this school. Leo accepted this. He had his own world, a small apartment in the maintenance sector, filled with his father's tools and the smell of soap and ozone. And he had the music. Old music. Terran music. His mother, before she was gone, had been a pianist. She had left behind data crystals of performances from a world most of these students would only visit as a cultural museum. Leo would listen, eyes closed, fingers twitching on his knees. The heart of the school's social atrium was a concert-grade acoustic piano, a relic of Earth. It was a beautiful, monstrous thing of ebony and ivory, its surface a mirror to the soaring crystal ceiling. A sign in elegant script stood upon it, for approved performers only. It was played during formal recitals by students who had mastered complex Martian sonatas or Venusian rhythm cycles. To others, it was simply expensive art. One evening, long after the last student had departed for their dormitory towers, Leo was finishing his duties. The atrium was empty, bathed in the soft, artificial moonlight that filtered through the dome. The piano sat in a pool of this light, silent and imposing. His father was across the campus, checking a faulty gravity regulator. A deep, old longing stirred in Leo. He had never touched it. The rule was absolute. But the hall was deserted, and the silence was a heavy, waiting thing. He approached, his soft-soled shoes making no sound. He placed his cleaning rag on the bench and slowly, carefully, lifted the fallboard. The white keys seemed to glow. He sat down. For a long moment, he simply looked at his hands, calloused and stained from work, so different from the soft, practiced hands of the music students. Then, he remembered his mother's smile, the way her hands would dance. He placed his fingers on the cool ivory. He did not play a Martian sonata. He did not attempt a Venusian rhythm cycle. He played something from the data crystals, a piece called Clair de Lune. It was old, simple in its core melody, but layered with a profound and tender sadness. The first notes were hesitant, soft as a breath. But as the melody unfolded, Leo forgot the atrium, the school, the coveralls. His hands remembered what his heart knew. The music filled the vast space, not with powerful chords, but with a gentle, aching light. It spoke of quiet moons and lost loves, of memories too precious to voice. It was a human sound, unadorned by galactic prestige, pure in its emotion. He did not see the headmaster, who had returned to his office for a forgotten data slate, stop at the atrium entrance, frozen. He did not see the tall, disdainful boy from the stellar navigation track, who had also returned, standing shrouded in shadow, his face blank with shock. He did not hear the soft hiss of the door as a girl from the Xenobiology Club peeked in, her eyes wide. Leo played the piece to its quiet end, the last note fading into the moonlight. He let out a slow breath, feeling a peace he had not known in years. Then he carefully closed the fallboard, picked up his rag, and went back to wiping down the nearby console, as if nothing had happened. The next day, the school was different. A low, buzzing tension had replaced the usual hum. Whispers flowed through the halls like current. Someone had played the earth piano. Someone had played it beautifully. The mystery was all anyone could discuss. During the midday break, a group of students clustered near the piano. The tall boy from navigation was there. His name was Kale. The xenobiology girl, named Lynn, stood nearby. It had to be a recording, Kale stated, but his voice lacked its usual certainty. Some maintenance bot running a diagnostic with an audio file. It did not sound like a recording, Lynn said softly. It sounded alive. At that moment, Leo walked by, carrying a bin of recycled nutrient bar wrappers. Kale's eyes narrowed. A ridiculous, impossible thought occurred to him. "You," Kale said, his voice cutting through the murmur. "Last night, were you in the atrium during cleaning shift?" Leo stopped, meeting his gaze. "I am always in the atrium. Did you hear anything? See anyone at the piano?" Leo's expression was unreadable. "I see many things. I hear many things. It is my job." Frustrated, Kale turned away. But Lynn kept watching Leo, a new curiosity in her eyes. The mystery persisted for days. Then the headmaster made an announcement. An unscheduled assembly was called in the atrium. The student body gathered, buzzing with speculation. The headmaster, a severe man with a face like etched metal, stood by the piano. "For several nights," he began, "an individual has been accessing this instrument without authorization. The act is a violation. However," he paused, and his stern demeanor seemed to crack just slightly. "The performance was noteworthy. The individual is hereby offered amnesty and a place in the advanced music cohort if they reveal themselves now." A silence fell. All eyes scanned the room, looking for a tell, a sign of guilt or pride. No one moved. Then, from the very back of the crowd, near the service entrance, a voice spoke. It was not loud, but it carried in the quiet hall. It was me. A path cleared as students turned, shocked. Leo stepped forward, still in his coveralls, his hands at his sides. A ripple of disbelief, then derisive laughter, moved through the ranks of silver-trimmed uniforms. "You?" Kale scoffed, the first to speak. "You cannot even access a practice terminal. You are the help." The headmaster held up a hand, his eyes sharp on Leo. "This is a serious claim. Can you substantiate it?" Leo said nothing. He simply walked through the parted crowd, past the stunned faces to the piano. He sat on the bench. He opened the fallboard. The same heavy silence returned, now charged with disbelief and anticipation. Kale folded his arms, a smirk playing on his lips, waiting for the inevitable, humiliating failure. Leo's hands hovered over the keys. This time, he did not play Clair de Lune. He chose a different piece from the crystals, one his mother had loved. It was a prelude, a storm of emotion contained in a complex cascade of notes. It began with a powerful rolling bass that shook the very air, then soared into a passionate, singing melody that spoke of struggle and defiance. From the very first measure, all doubt was obliterated. This was not simple, pretty music. This was technical, demanding, and ferociously emotional. Leo's work-roughened hands were a blur of precise motion, drawing forth torrents of sound, whispers of sorrow, and peaks of sheer, joyful power. He was not just playing notes, he was telling a story. A story of quiet nights and loud dreams, of invisible labor and vast inner worlds. The students stood transfixed. Lynn had tears streaking her cheeks. Cale's arms had fallen to his sides, his mouth agape. The headmaster's stern composure had vanished, replaced by naked awe as the final thunderous chords echoed and faded into a ringing silence. Leo stood up. He faced them, not with triumph, but with a simple, quiet dignity. The headmaster was the first to move. He walked forward, not with reprimand, but with a slow, deep nod of respect. "You have a gift, young man. A profound gift. The offer stands, more than stands." Leo looked out at the sea of faces that had always looked through him. He saw not dismissal now, but a dawning, humbled understanding. He saw Cale, who could not hold his gaze. He saw Lynn, who offered a tentative, respectful smile. "Thank you," Leo said, his voice still quiet, but no longer swallowed by the room. "But I do not need a cohort. I have my mother's lessons, and I have my work." He did not mean the cleaning. He meant the music. He had reclaimed it, here, in the place that told him he did not belong. He had shown them that belonging was not about uniforms or pedigrees, but about the truth one could pour into the silence. He nodded to the headmaster, then walked back through the crowd. This time, no one was in his way. They parted for him, not for the janitor's son, but for the pianist. For Leo, he returned to his duties, the whispers now following him for a different reason. And the piano in the atrium, from that day on, was never just for approved performers again. It was a reminder that greatness could be found in the most unexpected of places, waiting for its moment to sit down in the moonlight and speak.